Good evening. My name is Wednesday, and I am an alter in the law system. This is the first video that I have filmed, so apologies if I am perhaps a little unpractised. Also, I apologise for the body's voice. We've been a little sick lately, so if we sound croaky, that will be why. Today we are going to be talking about alters and death. A subject that is both incredibly within my wheelhouse and that I gather a lot of people are curious about. Now, you may have heard the phrase, alters cannot die. This is true on a base level. Alters cannot die in a human sense, where their life is simply cut off and they no longer exist. Alters are a part of someone's mind, someone's conscious. You cannot simply kill a part of your personality. That is not possible. However, alters can die in other ways, some of which I'm going to be going through today. First off, integration. Now, I'm going to be calling this fusion throughout this video because that is a more accurate term, and there is a lot of confusion about integration and fusion. To put it simply, integration is when a system begins to connect with itself and its parts. This is something that a system should do, whereas fusion is when two or more alters will come together. Some people treat an alter integrating as if they have died, as that alter, as you know them, is no longer within the system. However, their essence, their self, and their memories will still be within the system, whether that be in the alter that they have now formed, or if they have what we have coined dissipated into the rest of the system, a little part of them going into everyone, then they are still there, just not necessarily as themselves. Another way that an alter can quote-unquote die is by splitting. Splitting, in this context, is when one alter becomes two or more alters through a massive amount of stress and trauma that has been placed on that part specifically. Thank goodness we have not gone through this yet, but we know many other systems who have. The alter, as they have been known, is ripped apart into different people so that a part of them and their role can still continue, but the trauma that they have been through will obviously still exist within the system, and their purpose will not be hindered by said trauma. This is much more akin to an alter dying. This feels stupid. Talking to a camera feels stupid and our throat is sore. I really don't want to be doing this. I thought this would be a lot more fun, but... Now, something that people often mistake for an alter dying, but which is not, is dormancy. Dormancy is when an alter ceases activity in the system and ceases to be in the system for a long period of time. Imagine it like taking a very, very long nap. These alters are still there, their memories still exist within themselves, but they cannot be accessed in almost any way. This is temporary, and whether it be weeks or months or years, that alter will come out to participate in the system again. What you should do in this scenario is give that alter time, give them space, and give them room to process whatever they've gone through that caused them to go into dormancy. Now, something that people will be talking about when they use the term dead alters is ghost alters. Ghost alters are alters that are formed or theoretically alters that were alive but then became undead or ghosts. This will happen if the system has experienced an event where they were going to die, or they thought that they were going to die, or if death has been present around them that affected them profusely. An alter may form to deal with those feelings. These alters may interact in a variety of ways. The fact that they are dead or ghosts may just be visible in their inner appearance. It may be visible in the way that they talk and the way that they interact, or they might barely be able to front and will be consumed by their trauma memories. It is known to happen. Now, something happened recently in our system which I think would be interesting to bring up. Our alter Morpheus was fighting with our alter Pendragon, I think is how you pronounce his name, and Morpheus described that he almost died, in quotes. Now, from what we can figure out, because the inner world plays a massive part in our system, this simply would have meant that in the headspace, Morpheus would have sustained injuries which were so great that it caused him to go into a period of dormancy. Now, this didn't happen in this case, but I thought it was interesting to bring up, and if your system has gone through anything similar, I would suggest that you share it down in the comments. It's also been known to happen that if an alter has integrated, the inner world may process this as them dying. The inner world processes things in a lot of ways. Multiplicity and Me, for example, talked about how their alter Jake went through a massive change in his personality and role. And in the inner world, he was in a coma for 6 months to justify, I suppose, why he changed so much. So I assume that a similar thing can happen with, if your inner world is extremely vivid, your alters seeming to die when they have really integrated or have gone dormant. Now, the last thing I would like to talk about is mourning for those alters who are no longer in your system. It is okay to mourn who your alters have been, whether that be for integrating, for splitting, for dormancy, or anything else. It is okay to be sad. We were very sad when multiple of our alters had split. Well, the others were. I'm recently formed. And I think that it needs to be said that although you should celebrate who that alter is now, and you should not ostracise them, and you should certainly not be cruel to them, you should accept that this is the way that alter is now. And you should try and work with them as they are. This has definitely been an experience, filming my first video. I wanted to actually do a video on a different topic, but someone else claimed that idea, as they thought that it would be too confusing if I was the one to do it. Anyhow, I hope everyone has a good evening, and I hope that you enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe. Goodbye.